here. Here's the tuna. Today what we are going to do is we're going to do a tuna with a nice vegetable stew, and we have some nice ahi tuna here. You know, you see the color, how beautiful it is. It's nice and red. Then we have some shrimp and some nice scallops. And we're going to saute this later on, and our vegetable stew is going to consist of some nice Roma tomatoes, a little bit of carrots, some celery, some onions, some garlic, a little bit of red bell pepper, and some nice chopped parsley, a little bit of tarragon, and some olive oil. And we're going to season it with just a little bit of salt and some fresh squeezed lemon juice and lemon zest and a dash of white wine. So the first thing we're going to have to do right now is we're going to cut the vegetables, all right? So we're going to dice a few little vegetables. Take a little bit of celery, which we're going to dice. Celery. Then we're going to use some carrots. So you should always try to cut the vegetables as close as possible to the same size, because when they're cooked, if they're not cut properly, you know, some of them are going to be overcooked and some of them are raw, and that's really not a nice thing to taste, because vegetables should always be cooked the same way. You know, so it should be done. You know, if you like your vegetable al dente, that's fine, but or even more cooked, that's all right too. But if one of them is raw and one of them is overcooked, that's really not very good. Here we cut our onions. Then a little bit of garlic. We're going to slice them. Some people like them chopped and some people like them sliced. I personally like to have them sliced because it is a nice little flavor when you bite into some garlic. Plus garlic is really healthy for you, so that's good. The more garlic you eat, the longer you live. In some parts of the world, they actually read some raw garlic, particularly in Korea. When you go to you talk to some of the people in the morning, and they all smell of garlic. It's kind of it's not some of the best ways to talk to folks. So all right, then we cut a few onions, no, a few tomato. Here we go. All right, here we go. So we got all our ingredients cut, and the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and cook our tuna and our seafood. All right, what we're going to do right now is we're going to saute our seafood. And for our seafood, we're going to put a little bit of salt. We're going to salt it a little bit. for flavor. Now I always, when I cook my seafood, I always like to cook it almost rare because it tastes so much better, particularly, you know, when it comes to tuna and even scallops, you know. I mean, I think that tastes much better when they're not overcooked. So here we go. We're going to saute our tuna on both sides. We can add our scallops to it. And our shrimp. See how fast it goes. It's pretty amazing. Like, see, the scallops we're getting here on the Cape, they're so fresh. They're coming every day by boat. So you don't have to worry, you don't have to cook them very long. The scallop and the shrimp dish, you know, if you cook them like a couple of minutes on each side, they're fine. They're almost done, you know. And the thing about scallops is what you want to make sure is that they are still kind of glazy in the middle, you know, so they are not, it's almost like, they don't have to be all the way white. They can have still that natural color, and that's when they're actually done. And they will taste so much better than when you overcook them, you know, because they get dried out. You see how fast this goes? Here we go. Now the tuna, some people like, I always suggest that tuna should be cooked rare, but some folks don't like it, so you can cook them well done if that's what you want to do. But I suggest rare is the way to go. So you see, it only was a few minutes on both sides. Then you put it in a bowl. The tuna on the bottom of it. Add the scallops to it. And you set it aside. Now if you like to, you can make your sauce in advance. And then the only thing you have to put it on there, it's in the last minute. All right, here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this off so it doesn't get too hot, because what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that when you put in the garlic that it doesn't burn, because when you put garlic in and it burns, it has this very, very bitter taste. But if the pan is too hot, the only thing you have to do, you see, make sure that it's a little bit brown. And when you feel like it might burn, just add a little bit of white wine to it. And it's going to deglaze the pan, and it's going to take the heat out of the pan. So your stuff is not going to burn, you know? Then you add the carrots, the onions, and the celery. Now you can raise the heat again, because you don't have to worry about burning it because of the little bit of liquid you have in there in your frying pan. Now you saute this for about, I would say 5 to 8 minutes. So the carrots and the celery need to cook a little bit. 5 or 10 minutes should be enough. Then you add a little bit of lemon juice to it. A little bit of the lemon zest. Then the chopped onions. And then we add just a touch more of white wine. And what I got here is a little bit of a seafood stock. It's just a little bit of lobster stock, which we're going to add to it for the flavor. A little bit of tarragon. And we let that simmer for about, let it simmer for another, I would say 10 to 15 minutes under a slow flame. See, like this stock here, this little seafood stock, you can do that in advance. So you don't have to do this in the last minute. You can do this in the afternoon before your dinner party comes in, and it's ready to go. So the only thing you have to do in the last minute then is like cook your fish. And then after it's almost close to finish, you just add some nice fresh parsley, or you can use any kind of fresh herbs you want to use. You can put some basil in there. You can put fresh tarragon. Doesn't have to be, or dill if you like dill. So it doesn't matter which fresh herb you want to add to it. The one thing about fresh herbs is, versus dried herbs, you really don't want to cook them that long because it takes away from the color of it. Like dried herbs, I always, when I cook sauces with dried herbs, I always put them right in the beginning so they get all the flavor into the sauce. Fresh herbs I like to put in the last minute, so it has that pungent, great, you know, when you put fresh basil or fresh parsley in a garnish, you know, it has that freshness to it, that really pungent, fresh flavor of the plant. All right, and that is basically our little seafood dish. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put the sauce over our dish. Here we go. We got this, our little seafood medley ready to go. Now we're going to add a little bit of the sauce to it. Now you can go and eat this one, and maybe you want to have some nice French bread with it. And you'll have a beautiful meal. Here's the tuna. Almost like, they don't have to be all the way white. They can have still that natural. Besides it. But I mean, you have to have some kind of, how would you say, you have to have some kind of